Hey guys, welcome back to The News and More, the worst film photography name, but the best content, hopefully. So I have done my best to try and find things to talk about out there pertaining to film news. And maybe you wouldn't be surprised, but there really isn't a whole lot. Being in this kind of hobby, being a film photographer, once you've been in it for a while, you'll quickly realize that just like the hobby itself, it's very slow. So there's not a lot going on, but there are some cool things going on. And on top of that, I think that there are a lot of things that we can talk about that is old news, but I mean, it's kind of new news to me. And I don't see enough people talking about it still. I watch a lot of YouTube videos on, film cameras and, just trying to see what's going on. And I don't see a lot of people talking about this one thing in particular. And let's dive right into that right now. Let's see. I want to make sure I get some good audio for you guys. Last time it wasn't all that spectacular. So you guys are going to probably laugh at this, but 220 is back. I had no idea 220 was back. I was just out of the game for about a year and a half. And in that time, there's been a couple companies that have brought back 220. And I don't see enough people talking about it. And I kind of wonder if people even realize it. There is so many, when it comes to film, it seems like there's so many more interesting or quirky films that come out. And that seems to get a lot of the buzz, the cool packaging, but there is some other companies out there that are creating 220, which a lot of people have been asking for years at this point. If you have medium format cameras like any Mamiya, basically, that can take 220, or a Bronica that can take 220, or a Fuji that can take 220, you'll notice that you either have a back or an option to switch to 220. And if you have 220, I mean, that theoretically would give you 24 images on a 6x6. And I mean, it goes down from a 6x6 to a 6x7, I believe. So I don't know what the numbers are. Maybe I'll put those numbers up on the screen. But you'll see that you'll get, with 220, that's a big deal. Maybe some people don't really care for it. And I get it, because for me, I prefer to have, I kind of wish, now call me crazy, am I the only one that kind of wishes that they had, like a 3-frame medium format roll, rather than having a 12, so I'm, doing the math of a 6x6 film, like a square format, so I'm thinking, I get 12 per roll. I sometimes wish it was only like 3 or 6, and maybe that's why I want to get a Fuji 6x9. I don't know. Anywho, if you come over here to see what's available, there is a company called, and I like I said, I know this is probably old news to you guys, but to some of you it isn't old news. Rflx Labs, which was brought to my attention by a viewer. He suggested that, he basically was saying that he uses the Rflx Lab Pro 100 color negative 220, and that's what piqued my interest. I was like, 220? So I went and looked, and sure enough, you can get 220 film, and it is, let's see, it's Aerochrome 240. So that's another cool part about Rflx Lab. They're not afraid to tell you where they're getting the film from. So it's respooled from Aerochrome 2460. Gives you, so fine grain, low noise, medium saturation, medium contrast, daylight balanced film, ideal for outdoor shooting during the day. So let's see, 220 color negative, ISO 100. So nice and fine grain. Here are some samples of some images here. Wow, looks great. I mean, honestly, if you would be hard pressed on these, considering how fine this is. I mean, here you can see it's a little soft, but geez Louise, this is super sharp. I love that. That looks great. You would think that's digital. I think a lot of people would mistaken that for a digital image. I mean, obviously you see things here with it looks like something was on the negative there. And that's another thing I read. I believe they talk about due to clear polyester base, the first layer exposed is prone to light leaks from the film leader. To avoid this, okay, so they're talking about light leaks on this is common or could be. If you use a roller transport processor, we suggest turning off the lights in your lab before the film is put into the machine. We respool this film using secondhand back paper, so you will see a different brands inside the packaging, which is normal. Please use the exposed sticker included to tighten the film roll after you finish shooting, so you won't forget what the film is. Okay, so they had that one, really cool. I'm definitely gonna have to pick some of these up, and I'm really, really hoping that in the near future, what is near, right? In the near future, I'm able to get a 693, Fuji 693, and I would think having 220 film in there would be smoking, man. All right, so they have the Lab Pro 100 color negative, and then down here, which is going to be, I would think, a direct competitor to another film. This is the Rflx Lab 500T 250D. So I'm kind of confused by this right here. So 500 tungsten, 250 daylight color negative. Now I'm sure that has to do with, depending on the conditions or what filter you use, it might change that up there. So let's see, again, respooled from fresh 65 Vision 3 motion picture film. Remjet not removed. So I did watch a review on this, and the person that was using it, she had to do a good long rinse on it. I don't remember how long the rinse was, but if you ever have film that has this remjet, or just film in general, like some stocks, like Acros has, when you rinse this stuff, it has like a pre-rinse. I'm sorry, I should be more specific. Pre-rinse, it's super dark. Lomography, I think it's like green. Kodak can be green sometimes, but remjet is not removed. High-speed tungsten balance film, ideal for low light situations. Processed in ECN2, which ECN2, if I think that's for slide film, right? Is that slide film? For slide film? Let's check here. What's ECN2 refers to a chemical development like C41, the typical color negative development for standard color film, or E6 for color slide film. So ECN2 film requires a different process to reveal the image in your negatives. They are color films adapted from Kodak Vision 3 movie emulsion so that you can use them in your 35mm camera and 120 and get incredible professional results. So that is this guy right here. And also, if you check it out, so it's actually literally motion picture film. So if you get CineStill film, they use motion picture film, like the 800T, I believe, is motion picture film as well. And you don't get these sprocket holes though. So in this one, you would get these sprocket holes, which if you're like me, you would think this is totally cool. I love that. It would even look better if this was slide film with these sprocket holes. So yeah, it looks great. And to give you a better idea, when they say it's respooled from fresh 65 Vision 3 motion picture film, this is Vision 3 500T color negative. So if you want to get a whole roll yourself, you know how to respool it yourself. So it looks like the same thing, if I'm not mistaken. Kodak Vision 3 500T. So let's see. Kodak Vision 3 So 65mm Vision 3 motion picture film. Vision 3 motion picture film 500T. Yeah. So, I mean, that is the same thing. And that is awesome. So there's two options right there. You know, that was super long-winded, right? And yesterday, I was like, what else is there as far as 220 film? And CineStill has revived 220 400D 400 dynamic, I'm sorry, which, I mean, is that the same thing? Is it daylight balance, 400 daylight, or are they just doing something different here? Because it says 400D on the box. CineStill is excited to announce a new film format. Now, remember, guys, this is April. This is on April 11th, 2022. So this is like super old news, but I had no idea. CineStill is excited to announce a new film format for our 400 dynamic film stock, 400D and 220. So I could have sworn that I saw this available yesterday and for sale, and now I cannot find it anywhere. So this is just the 120. I don't see 220 anywhere anymore. So did it sell out? So there goes two options for 220, Rflx Labs and CineStill. CineStill looks to be out of stock, but you can get some from Rflx Lab and go to town on your 220 film with your 220 camera. So the next thing I wanted to bring up, I have a couple things that I thought were super interesting. So Sub 13, not sure if you have heard of Sub 13. Sub 13, actually, they are the company which produces limited edition underwater housings for Leica cameras. So all you Leica folks out there, has announced its first model for a film camera. This is 5824. The new housing fits the M6 rangefinder, which was produced in 1984 until 2002 and then brought back in production in 2022. Amid rising interest in a Leica film camera range, the housing, made of a single piece of sandblasted aluminum and sapphire glass, follows other short runs made for a digital M-mount camera and marks the 70th anniversary of the beginning of the Leica M range. So this, I believe, came out already, I think, but if you look deeper into this episode and into this article, you'll see, let's see, how many planning on making. We're going to produce 13 units. 13 units for the M6 TTL. Additionally, the M7 housing will also be compatible with, okay, so that's the cost. $7,500. So you guys, if you have $7,500 and a Leica camera and you want to get that housing, it's only $7,500. But I guess if you're a Leica shooter, maybe you look at that and you're like, all right. At this stage, for some people, that's not a big deal. I'm not quite sure how that would all work. So let's see, if you go to their website, this is it. This is the housing. And so I think it's just, I mean, it seems to be just the housing for protecting it, I guess. I mean, I'm assuming this piece of glass in front's would affect the look or what the lens is doing, right? Because these Leica cameras really shine with the lenses that you're able to put on them. So there's that. Kodak Color Negative C41 processing kit is now available. Introducing the new Kodak Color Negative C41 film processing kit. This kit has been engineered to process all color negative films aligned with the standard C41 process. It is specifically crafted to use with small scale developing tanks and rotary processors. So it looks like, okay, so the kit contains a developer, bleach, fixer, final rinse, and liquid concentrate. 2.5 liter and 5 liter version of the kit is available. The chemistry can be used one shot, not reused, or replenished using the appropriate Kodak color negative replenisher available for purchase separately. So I think that this was offered before in the past, and I did read somewhere else that it's same chemicals, new look kind of thing. So they're branding it, or they're showing it as introducing the new Kodak. I don't know if it's new or if it's just back in stock. Regardless, you could find it on CineStill, CineStill's website, and pick up your kit. Pretty basic kit. There are, I would say, actually this is probably a little bit easier to, if you're a first-time person, or if this is the first time that you're developing your own negatives, maybe this is a good kit to go with, because it looks like, I'm sure you have to still combine chemicals together, opposed to when you're dealing with powder. Powder can get a little messy, but if you're a tidy person, I don't think it's going to be a big deal either way you go. I mean, because you do have to combine chemicals together to make one, like your developer. And I don't know how it, so to be quite honest, I've only used the powder versions. So, I mean, but I've heard people that do prefer to go with just the liquid stuff. So that is another option. The last bit of news that I have here has to do with this little Lego guy right here. Not this one in particular, but when I saw this news, it made me really excited because I'm sure, honestly, I think my wife's probably going to get this thing for me. But this person needs your support. So there is a functional Lego film camera kits called the Leica ZH1, and let's see, this is the actual Lego website right here. Working and functional 35mm film camera. So where I heard about this, let me see if I can find the original article that I found. Yes, it was this one right here. Okay, so this is the article that I found very interesting, because the person that's putting this out was very transparent on some of the hangups he had and where it stands right now. So it's kind of funny. I mean, it looks similar to the Pentax 17, right? Am I not mistaken? And also it looks similar to this guy. Similar. I mean, if you took this part off right here, let's see, can I take that off? And it's kind of similar. But okay, so here's what the article said here. A fully functional 35mm camera made entirely from Lego has been pitched as a possible future release on the Lego Idea website. The camera is called the ZH1 and has been created by Canadian photographer and inventor Zung Hong. Hong first pitched the idea for the camera in 2022, and the camera is nearing its last months of voting on Lego Ideas. Potential products need to get at least 10,000 votes in their pitching period to be considered for future production, and Hong's camera had a little less than 7,500 votes on Sunday, August 11th. So today is the 17th. It has 36 days of voting left. My primary goal was to create a fully functional 35mm camera using only existing Lego parts. Hong said that the ZH1's pitch page, keeping it affordable and portable, was key, so I focused on making it as compact as possible. The ZH1 is built from 595 Lego pieces. One of the biggest challenges I faced was ensuring the camera body was light-proof. Initially, my early film rolls were fogged due to light leaking through the bright, colorful bricks and the gaps between pieces. It took several days to perfect the sealing without compromising portability. I mean, kudos to you, man. If it took several days, that's it. The camera proudly features the classic Lego logo from 1934, adding a nostalgic touch. The main lens is based on an existing magnifying piece, while I also develop a special pinhole lens that produces unique and stylish effects, as seen in the samples. Hong's Instagram account includes a number of pictures taken on the prototype, of the ZH1. The pictures have distorted, dreamlike quality similar to expired disposable cameras or pinhole shots. The camera's features will include shutter button, film advance, film take-up reel, wind lever with release, full frame or half frame mode, Pentax, watch out, accessory shoe. The ZH1 follows a number of recent photography-related sets released by Legos. Earlier in 2023, Lego unveiled a set paying tribute to animator Walt Disney, a classic retro movie camera, to mark 100 years since Disney Studio was set up. In December last year, the Danish toy brick giant also released a retro 35mm set, which I believe is this one, which could also be built as a video camera and or retro television. Okay, I didn't know it could do that, but I knew it could go to a camera. So look at this thing. All right, I don't know. I know this is a film photography channel, but look, it's got little film. Look at this. I wish you can see this better. And it drops inside. That's stinking adorable. So I love this. Really cool, and I would definitely purchase this camera. Okay, so this is his Instagram right here. That's the camera. He's showing you how it works here. Look at that. It's pretty big, actually. Nice. So looks good. So these are some of the images. I would say that you're gonna have a little vignetting, just a little bit. But that is, you know, I mean, it's a stinking Lego camera, man. That's pretty cool and just fun to add to the collection. I'm curious to know how much it's gonna cost. I mean, how much would you pay for a camera like that? I mean, it's a functional camera. I think this was like $20 or $30, I believe. So you figure a functional camera, I mean, what's gonna be $100, right? I mean, this lens is nothing to write home about. It's not like you're really going to, I don't know. I mean, maybe there'll be some people that just out creative me and make some amazing things. But yeah, it's fun. I think this would be really cool for a kid, you know? So if you wanna follow him, head on over to his page, Zung Hong right there. So ZUNG 92. And most importantly, and which is really cool actually, you should, if you want to see this come to fruition, if you want to have this be a thing, go over to the Lego Ideas website, or go to, I mean, you can just look it up. Just look up the Lego and there will be links to it. And it's Ideas, Legos, right here is the link. You probably can, if you want to write all that down, but I think if you just go into Lego and go to the ZH1, you go in here, become a supporter, and you just have to, you log in and you support. And it looks like it's going to happen. At least it's going to be considered, because it's already at 9,089 votes right now, supporters. So we can tip it over the top. I don't see that being an issue in the next 30 days at this point. People are really excited. I was looking at some of the comments down here, and it's, I mean, Lego is, the fact that they have images and everything, I would imagine that's a good sign, right? So that's gonna happen. My last thing I wanted to share with you guys is my photographer of the week. The person that I think is worth checking out. This person inspired me to get the Bronica SQAI. And when I knew that I wanted to get a medium format camera, I did tons of research, and when a lot of my research being on YouTube, and I kept going back to this person, and his name is Adrian Villa. You might know him as AOWS. He is kind of been known as the Bronica guy on YouTube now. So he is the photographer of the week. It's black and white, so it's all black and white photography, square format, and that's what really got me into it. Let's see if I can find something that, I mean, he posts a lot, and he is a legitimate photographer where he is, you know, this is what he does, and he lives for it. I actually had this is years ago, I had the privilege of actually talking to him a little bit through Instagram, and really down-to-earth guy, and I would love to do an interview with him just to pick his brain and to kind of just get him out there a little bit more. In the grand scheme of things, for photographers, very successful, I would say. He has 63,000 followers on Instagram. He's done really well on YouTube from what I can tell. And his work is just amazing. It's actually absolutely beautiful. If you want to be inspired, I highly recommend going over to AOWS on Instagram. His name is Adrian Villa. And give him a follow there and say hi to him and tell him Andy sent you. So, who knows? Maybe one day we will have Adrian on. I have no idea, but it would be pretty cool to have him on. And I think that's where what I'm gonna start incorporating into the news and more is gonna be an interview from time to time. I'm in talks with a person right now about having him on, a person that is very respected in the industry, in the film photography industry. So stay tuned for that. Working out all the kinks, and that's probably about a month or two away. But given that there's not a lot of content out there when it comes to film photography news, I need to be creative and fill up some of this time to create something fun for you guys too. The idea is to stay inspired and to continue learning. And I think the news and just seeing what's out there and being aware of what's going on in the industry is part of that. Kind of like me. I didn't know there was stinking 220 medium or 220 film, where have I been? So that wraps up this episode for the news and more. Last time I asked you guys to help me come up with a better name. I didn't get any suggestions, so until then, it's just going to be called the news and more. And I think the big way of differentiating that on YouTube is just going to be how I put the images of some of the things we talk about, so people will be able to identify, oh, that's film photography, news and more. So anyways, take care, guys. I will talk to you next time.